Welcome back to my channel Lomzy Sews. In today's sewing tutorial, I will show you how to cut gathered dress with Basque effect. As you can see, it's an underbust corset dress with gathered skirt. It's a very simple tutorial and I'm going to make it detailed for both beginners and advanced class. So let's start with the tutorial. You will need 1 yard of crepe fabric and 4 yards of African fabric, but for me I'm going to use 2 yards because mine is short. First I'm going to draft a basic bodice pattern and then we are going to contour the bustier pattern. I've drawn out a straight line and from this line I'm going to take my vertical lines. First I'm going to mark the armhole length, next is the underbust line and also the waistline. I'll go ahead and square these lines. This is the armhole length. This is the underbust line. The underbust line, I'm not going to mark it full so that you know the one that is the underbust line. And then this is the waistline. So let me repeat that. This is the shoulder line, the armhole line, the underbust and the waistline. Here on the shoulder line, I'm going to divide shoulder divided by 2 and I will square it down to the armhole line. Remember our shoulders are not straight, so I'm going to make a shoulder slope of 1.5 inches and a neck width of 3 inches. I'll mark it and I'm going to connect it to the line on the armhole line. After doing this, next on the bust line, I'm going to divide the bust divided by 4 and I'm going to add ½ inch for ease. And on the waistline, I'm going to square it down whatever I have on the bust line. I'll shape this later, but first let's continue with the basic block. Next, I'm going to divide the bust span divided by 2 and mark it here. I'm going to square it up to the armhole line. I'll go ahead and square this line. On this bust span measurement, I'm going to come down 1 inch for the bust point. So this will be the bust point. Here I'm going to mark that width on this bust span measurement. So on the center, towards the center front, I'm going to come in 1 inch, and towards the side seam I'm going to go 1.5. I'll go ahead and connect this like this. First I'm going to connect it like this. We are going to contour this later, but first of all let's have the basic block. On the side seam I'm going to come in 1 inch for me to shape the side seam. With this we have completed the basic bodice block, so we are going to go to the contouring of the underbust corset and the upper bust. So first of all let's contour the underbust. From this line I'm going to square these lines up to the underbust line. As you can see, I'm squaring it up from the waistline. Next, from the bust point I'm going to come down 1 inch and I'm going to connect this like this. This is so that we will not have a sharp corner. I'll go ahead and also connect the side bust like this. So I'm going to take out that area. Next we are going to contour the princess dart. I'm going to use a princess dart shape to contour the armhole. This is because your armhole will gape if you don't contour this. So I'm going to make like ½ inch dart on that armhole. I'll go ahead and cut this open like this and close the dart. Before I cut this, I'm going to trace this out for my back pattern. I'm going to use it for my back pattern. So I have already traced that out. I'm going to use that to make the back pattern. Note that. So now I'm going to draw the armhole curve. Although this armhole curve I'm drawing now is not the final armhole curve, but so that you understand what I'm doing. So next I'm going to mark the width of the neckline. I want to use 4 inches. I'll mark 4 inches here. And for the strap of the sleeve, I want to make it 2.5 inches. So I will connect a new armhole curve like this. Next, I'm going to mark the neck depth for the front. I want to come down from the shoulder 9 inches. I'll go ahead and connect this to the shoulder like this. Next, for the front, we are going to contour the front, because if we don't do that, it's going to gape. So I'm going to connect this to the bust point like this and make a 1 inch dart on the neckline like that. I'll go ahead and close this. Before I close that, I'm just going to snip this place so that it will be easier for me to close the neckline dart. So go ahead and close it like this. I'll go ahead and connect a new neckline. You can use your ruler to do this, but I want to use my hand to make a curve so that I just have a nice curve on the neckline. I'll go ahead and cut this out. So these places are not longer needed, so I'm going to cut them out so that we can continue with the bustier top. Next is to draw the shape of the under bust corset. So from the bust point, remember this is the bust point, I'm going to come down like 4 inches like this, and I'm going to connect this to the under bust line. Remember this line where I'm curving it out is the under bust line. So I'll go ahead and close this like this so that I'll finish up the under bust corset line. So this is the center front unfold. Also for the upper side, this is the center front unfold. I'll set that aside and we are going to extend the lower part of the under bust corset. So remember this is the under bust corset. We are going to add to the lower part. So first I'm going to mark the waistline to the hip line, which is 9 inches. I'm going to square that out like this. And on this hip line, I'm going to divide hips divided by 4, and I'm going to mark it here. I'll connect it to the waistline like this. Next, we're going to design the design of the Basque waistline. So from here you can make any type of Basque waistline. So now I'm going to mark 5 inches from the center front and square it down to the hip line like this. And on the center front I'm going to come down 5 inches. On this line I'm going to come down 7 inches. You can make it 9 inches if you want to. And on the side seam I'm going to come up 3 inches. I'll go ahead and connect this like this and also connect that like that. I want to use my hand to do this. Just use your free hand and do it. You don't need a curved ruler or any type of ruler. Just use your hand. It's better that way. So next I'm going to either take this off, or I'm going to use this place and make a slash and spread. It depends on how you want it, but for me I have a method I like to use which is very, very simple, and that's what I'm going to do. So make sure to watch the video on how to sew this so that you will understand how to sew the lower part of the gathered dress so that it's still equal at the hem. I'll drop the link in the description section, so make sure to watch that video because this is going to be a 2-part video. As you can see, by the time I close this aligns properly. We're going over to the back. Remember I told you guys to trace off this before you close the armhole. I'll also go ahead and close the armhole here, and I'm going to draw another armhole curve. So I will draw another armhole curve, just the same thing I did for the front. Next, I'm going to mark the width of the neckline. Remember the neck width I use is 4 inches, so I'll mark it here. The neck depth for the back I'll use 2 inches. I'll go ahead and connect this, and for the strap I will bring the front and use it to mark for the guideline. So I'll go ahead and mark a new armhole curve like this. Next, for the lower part, this is going to, we are going to make an adjustment. So I'm going to close this bust dart like this. You can see what I'm doing, and then I'm going to connect the armhole curve, so you make the final armhole curve for the back. This way your back will sit properly. Next, we are going to do what we did to the front. So from the waistline to the hip line, that's what I have here. I'll go ahead and divide the hips divided by 4 and mark it here. I'll go ahead and connect this. Watch what I'm going to do to the back. For the back, I'm going to come in the same 5 inches for the back and square this down. For the center back, I'm going to come down 2 inches, unlike the front that I came down by 5 inches. So I will come down like 5 inches at the back, and for the side seam I'm going to maintain the same thing and come down 3 inches. I'll go ahead and connect this like this and connect this like so. So just use your free hand and connect it like that. Let me show you what I mean. You see the side seam is the same, but the other side is shorter. So for the back, we are going to contour the back for the zipper to sit properly. So I'll come in here 1 inch and connect this like this. I'll go ahead and cut this out. If you have watched this video till this time and you have learned anything, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't. And to my returning subscribers, thank you guys for your support, for your comments and sharing my video out. I appreciate. So the pattern is ready. As you can see, the side scallop matches properly. So guys, we have actually come to the end of today's sewing tutorial. I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.